Coming up on today's show, we're going to look at some rookie minicamp winners and losers, but we have a new member of the Cleveland Browns Report, as producer Reed will be helping out with us throughout the next few weeks and months. So drop a thumbs up down below if you think he does a good job. If he does a shitty job, put a thumbs down. Browns rookie minicamp is in the books after the weekend. We got our first glimpse of the Browns 2024 draft class, the UDFAs, the players they invited, which one of them, by the way, spoiler alert, they signed. So I want to run through the biggest winners and losers. But I do think it's important to note that as fun as it is to get your first look at the rookies, I kind of look at it as looking at puppies, right? They're cute, they're young, they're fun to play with. And then when they piss inside, it's not as fun anymore. And that's usually what happens when the season rolls around. So just lower your expectations a little bit. Don't make mountains out of rookie minicamp storylines. I mean, look at the Browns rookie class from last year, right? DeJuan Jones was tossed into a starting role. Only played, of course, because of the injury he suffered later on. About 57% of the snaps when he was on the field. Cedric Tillman, after Donovan Peoples-Jones was traded, saw a big increase in his role. But it just goes to show that rookies, as fun as they are, they don't have as big of a role for a lot of teams early on, especially for a team like the Browns that didn't select until pick 54 and does not need any one of their rookies this year unless a big injury pops up to have a big role for this team in 2024. So just keep that in mind as we go through the video and over the next few weeks and months. But our first winner from rookie minicamp is the Browns' first pick in the 2024 draft. It is defensive tackle Mike Hall from Ohio State. So I want to share with you guys what Kevin Stefanski said about his new defensive tackle. I thought Mike did a nice job. He's in his stance, and Jacques is walking around and looking at every foot and where it's placed, how high he has his rear end, how he's bending out of that, and where his hands are. So there's so much nuance that goes into it that he will work really, really hard at. So he did a nice job today, and we just want to build on that each day. I'll tell you guys right now, if a coach says you did a nice job as a rookie, you're going to be a rookie minicamp winner. I still think we're going to see more of a redshirt type of season from Mike Hall. I mean, there's just so much depth at the interior defensive line, and a lot of it's short-term depth, which is why I'm okay with the Browns going with the defensive tackle in the draft, since so many of the guys they have at that position are on 1-2-year contracts remaining. It's good to hit the youth reset button at defensive tackle. But when you look at the defensive line, if everyone stays healthy, it's going to be tough for Mike Hall to find a way onto the field unless he truly just blows everyone out of the water throughout training camp and preseason. And that happens from time to time for teams, right? They get a rookie that outside of round one, they didn't expect to put the coaching staff in such a tough position where they have to play them. But Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst, Quentin Jefferson, I mean, these are going to be your top 4 rotating defensive tackles. And that's okay with me if we see very little of Mike Hall. Mike Hall physically is very gifted and has all the attributes you need. He's super young. He was one of the youngest players in this draft. So for Mike Hall, it's really about learning the position the way the Browns coaching staff wants him to play. And if that means spending a lot of time just on the practice field in 2024, that's very much okay with me. First, loser, and I don't really love calling them losers, but I just think it's a good way to digest rookie minicamp winners and losers, would be linebacker Devin Bush. And that's why we get some bunny ears, because the man wasn't even at rookie minicamp, right? He's a 5-year NFL vet. However, there is a rookie that is pushing for his spot on the roster and his spot in the starting lineup. And that is day 3 pick Nathaniel Watson, who Mary Kay Cabot said Watson, the Browns' 6th-round pick out of Mississippi State, looked the part the same way his former college teammate Martin Emerson Jr. did 2 years ago when he showed up on the Browns' doorstep. Slated for the Mike linebacker role that would have gone to Sione Takitaki had he not signed with the Patriots, Watson is stout enough to man the middle and stop the run, but looked agile, dropping into coverage on Friday. It's very early, but this was a draft pick that from the day it was announced, I was very upbeat and optimistic about because the production was there, one of the best defenders in the SEC the last 2 seasons. And so I think we're going to see a continued growth for Nathaniel Watson as he competes for one of the 3 coveted starting linebacker roles, which we already know that JOK and Jordan Hicks are going to have. And then Devin Bush is the guy penciled in currently, but that's definitely up for grabs, I would say, throughout OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and then, of course, training camp in the preseason. So Nathaniel Watson, if he continues to play at a high level, there's no doubt that he could come in here and surprise people and earn a week 1 starting job. Now, I think we're going to see more of a 2 linebacker set anyway, but when they get near the goal line and they want 3 run-stopping linebackers, Nathaniel Watson could be that 3rd linebacker out on the field. Now, there are some good elements to his game, and then there are some reasons why he fell to the later stages of day 3 of the draft. I mean, he's one of the older guys in the draft process for starters. He's going to turn 24 years old before week 1, so not a usual Andrew Berry pick, but there were very few underclassmen that even entered the 2024 draft. Beggars can't be choosers. But like I was saying earlier, from a production standpoint, the guy checks every single box, like run stopping, 13 tackles for loss, pass rush abilities, 10 sacks. That was tied with Dallas Turner for the most in the SEC. 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception. Just great playmaking abilities that we'll probably learn in a few years whether that was a result of him being a 23-year-old senior at Mississippi State going up against 19-year-old tackles and running backs, or was he just a stud and for whatever reason he slipped through the draft cracks and the Browns were so happy to find him in round number 6. Now, I do want to ask you guys this question. Will a rookie start in 2024? As backwards as it may sound, I think Nathaniel Watson, one of the last pick for the Browns in 2024, may have the best path of actually starting week 1 since the ice above him is not as sturdy as it is for guys like Mike Hall, Zak Zinter, Jamari Thrash. Speaking of Zak Zinter, he's our next winner. So the Michigan offensive lineman who has been breaking bread with his new NFL teammate Mike Hall after, unfortunately, he played a big role in Zak Zinter suffering a fractured leg in the Michigan-Ohio State game. Well, luckily for Zinter, that is completely behind him because he was a full participant in the Browns rookie minicamp. Guy broke his leg in gruesome fashion, too. Not that there's a ungruesome way to break your leg. In November. Let's just count them out the months. December, January, February, March, April, half of May, half of November. 6 months later, and this guy is on the football field, not standing on the sideline watching everyone else play. Full participant. To me, that alone makes him a big winner. Now, same goes for some other guys we talked about a moment ago. It'll be tough for Zinter to pierce through the starting lineup. Like, really, really tough to the point of it's not happening unless an injury happens, right? Petonio and Teller are not going anywhere no matter how good Zinter looks in training camp in the preseason. But the quicker he looks, the better he looks, the better for the Browns because they have some big bills to pay next offseason for their salary cap. And if Zinter looks like a guy that can start in 2025 throughout much of 2024, that'll be one less assignment the Browns have to do next offseason. That's why Zinter was probably my favorite draft pick. 4-year starter at Michigan, did not give up a sack or even have a penalty his senior year. The guy's an absolute mauler. He's a violent run blocker. And this is a franchise that takes pride in the output of all-pro Hall of Fame offensive linemen, right? And I think Zinter, as premature as it may sound, is the type of mold that you look for in Cleveland Browns offensive linemen. That's why he was my favorite pick of the draft. Now, before we look at the remaining winners and losers, we've got Memorial Day weekend just 2 weeks away. 4th of July is after that. We got Flag Day in between. So if you want to get yourself a Cleveland Browns USA-themed t-shirt, go to chatsports.com/CLEUSA. I think it's pretty easy to remember. But in case you didn't, I already put that link for you in the comments and description of today's video. So rep your favorite country while also repping your favorite squad. Chatsports.com/CLEUSA. Second loser coming out of minicamp, I'm going to have some fun with this one. AFC North special teams. Ever since Bubba Ventrone stepped foot back in Cleveland after the Browns moved on from Mike Prefer and brought Bubba home, the Browns special teams unit has made a complete 180. And it's only going to get better and better as Ventrone is here for longer and longer and getting his guys and his coaching styles across. But the reality is the Browns rookies are not going to be in for a big role when it comes to offense and defensive production this year, which means rookies, it is time to learn special teams because that's likely going to be the easiest, the quickest, and for some, the only path onto the field. So that even means like 5th-round pick wide receiver Jamari Thrash, who won the fastest gunner competition at Minicamp. I mean, when it comes to special teams and rookies, that is usually the best way they can impress a coaching staff to convince them, give me some opportunities on the offense or defensive side of the football. So I think we're going to see a lot of these rookies really start to hone in and focus on special teams. And with the new kickoff rule, we're going to quickly learn in 2024 which teams were proactive about it and which teams were reactive about it. And I fully expect the Browns, with their analytic-driven team mindset, to be a proactive team to special teams. And we're going to see the rookies have a big role in that early on. Third and final winner, I'm going to go with quarterback Jacob Sirmon. It's hard not to make him a winner because the guy came in as a tryout quarterback from Northern Colorado. And he walks out with a contract, and he's on the Cleveland Browns roster. Very early, of course, 90-man roster, but still a really cool accomplishment for him. He played at Northern Colorado for the last 2 years, started off at Washington, then he went to Central Michigan. So he's bounced around a little bit. He's probably learned a lot of playbooks in the process, and that's really what rookie minicamp is. Learning the offense and defensive install, right? Learning the playbooks, going to meetings early. Kevin Stefanski had an awesome quote of, I love rookie minicamp because it's the only time when everyone's on time for a meeting, right? Meetings at 11 a.m., everyone's in their seats, pen and paper at 10:30. You don't always get that type of treatment from 10-year vets that maybe show up a minute or two late. So for the Browns, it's really cool that they were able to find another quarterback. Now, it does raise a little bit of concern as to maybe the health for some of the quarterbacks above Sirmon on the depth chart. And I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson. I'm talking about Dorian Thompson-Robinson. We've gotten very minor updates on his hip rehab that he suffered a hip injury at the end of last year. And I kind of wonder if the Sirmon signing is a reflection of looked good in training or in rookie mini camp, but more importantly, we want to have at least 3 healthy quarterbacks for all of OTAs and minicamp. And if we don't know for certainty that DTR and or Deshaun Watson will be at 100% health, let's just sign a guy. That way we can have 3 quarterbacks, and that's the way they want to operate. Now, speaking of OTAs and then mandatory minicamp, we will see the team next May 21st to the 23rd. These are just voluntary OTAs. They're not mandatory up until June 11th to the 13th. And by the way, this serves as a good reminder, when this day inevitably comes, May 21st, very soon, and there is a star player or 2 that's not there, do not panic. I remember last year, Myles Garrett did not come to OTAs. And I'm not going to go name names, but some people thought the sky was falling. Myles Garrett would go on to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm not convinced that going to OTAs is instrumental in being successful for a star player in the regular season. All right, that will do it for us on today's show, though. We do have a brand new member of the Chat Sports family. It is Reed Bartkus. The funny thing, Reed, is a few weeks ago, 2 months ago, whenever you first interviewed, I was late to my Browns Live show because I was interviewing you.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I hope this guy gets the job. Otherwise, what was this for? And now, full circle moment, here you are.
There we go.
So, Reed, we like to wrap up the show by picking a random card during the offseason just to keep people on their toes. Which card do you want to go with?
I'm going to go with a classic, Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades. I like it.
It's a classic.
Yeah, producer Sam Brown, the executive producer, kind of shadowing Reed. You can pick 2, Sam. I got Ace of Spades, 9 of clubs. Give me 2 of hearts. No, Jack of diamonds.
Oh.
Jack of diamonds. All right. That will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to come hang out with us. We'll sign off, and we'll see you all tomorrow.